And many would say that the Bible is the biggest composite picture we have about who God is and what God's heart is like. Because of that, interacting with Scripture is like a superfood of spiritual growth. And yet the more we build the habit of reading Scripture into our rhythms, which is great, but we can start to speed over the parts of the story that we've heard over and over again. And so sometimes what's right in front of us becomes invisible because we're so used to it. So today we're going to throw in a speed bump and engage Scripture in a more creative way by taking a passage of the Bible and journaling it into our own words in the hopes that we can then encounter God in a fresh way. So we're going to practice with Psalm 23, which describes God's relationship with us like that of a shepherd with his sheep. Now, we tend to read this psalm from the perspective of the one being taken care of in our me-centered view. But see if you can make a slight shift and try to focus instead on the image and the activity of the shepherd, not the sheep. So the Lord is my shepherd. I shall not be in want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside quiet waters. He restores my soul. He guides me in paths of righteousness for his name's sake. And even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy will follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Now, you'll need a pen and a paper for this exercise, so you can pause the video to grab that or just use a notes app in your phone. But do this one more than just in your head. Now, we're going to go through the psalm a little at a time, and with each section, I want you to pause and really think about it, maybe like you've never thought about it before. Now, what is the writer actually trying to say? This passage is very metaphor-rich. A lot of the Bible is, but try to take the shepherd-sheep metaphor that would have made a lot of sense to this author who was a shepherd, and reimagine it with language and imagery that describes your world, your work life, home life, even your stage of life, your experience of God caring for you. Now, this is David's Psalm 23, but what does your version sound like? And you could be fun and lighthearted, be deep and thoughtful, be poetic, be literal, put it into pirate speak, I don't care. Maybe you don't even want to use words, but you want to sketch it out as we go along. The point is to pull it apart and try to hear it and then express it in a fresh new way. This will do good things in you, even though it may be tricky at first to get the hang of it. So the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not be in want. Now for starters, neither Lord nor shepherd are words we use much outside of religious contexts, and you're not a sheep. So what does this verse mean in everyday terms to you? Take a shot at your journal version of this short line first. Now he makes me to lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside quiet waters. He restores my soul. Now again, trying to focus on the activity of God in here. What do green pastures and quiet waters mean? How does God lead you to them? What does your restored soul look like? Can you describe it? Now, we're not going to do every verse right now, so you can go back later and finish them up at home. I hope you will. But let's skip down to verse 4. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. Now remember, the focus here shouldn't be primarily on the valley of the shadow of death or the fear or the evil or even the eye walking through it. We want to keep pulling our focus back to the shepherd, to what God is doing in the midst of it all. So even when I'm walking into this meeting where I feel like I'm only going to fail, or even though I got hurt so badly in this relationship before, I know I'm held tight by a friend who's good and true, who holds my head high and my heart wide open so that no matter what I go through, I know I don't go through it alone. Now let's jump down again to the final verse. Surely goodness and mercy will follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. So what does a life overflowing with the goodness and mercy of God actually look like to you? And what does dwelling in the house of the Lord forever mean in you? This is actually one of my favorite practices that helps move my knowing from my head into my bones. So I hope you'll experiment with it more in the days ahead. But now let's worship together again. This song, like many others, being a great example of musicians taking scripture and journaling it into their own words.
And I will sing of all you've done, and I'll remember how far you've carried me from beginning until the end. You are faithful, faithful to the end, and I will sing of all you've done, and I'll remember how far you've carried me from beginning till the end. You are faithful, faithful to the end, until the end, until the end, until the end, yeah. There wasn't a day that you weren't by my side. There wasn't a day that you let me fall, and all of my life your love has been true, and with all of my life I will worship you. I will worship you.